Hey everybody, welcome to the individual assignment. In class, we were trying to work through this today, and it is a pretty tough one. This is number 7 on the chapter 19 individual assignment. And this is the Reciprocal Services Method, and it's just got a lot going on. So I'm going to try to walk everybody through this process and see if I can help it make a little more sense. So Blue Africa Inc. produced laptops and desktop computers. The company's production activities mainly occur in what the company calls its laser and forming departments. The cafeteria and security departments support the company's production activities and allocate costs based on the number of employees and square feet, respectively. The total cost of the security department is $266,000. And the total cost of the cafeteria department is $153,000. And then they give us a little table here that has the number of employees and square feet. So this is actually given to me. There's probably no reason for me to type it all out again, but I did as I was working through it, and it seemed to just help me get everything straight. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, even though it's probably not necessary. So the square feet, there's 600 square feet in the security department, 2,400 square feet in the cafeteria department, 4,800 square feet in the laser department, and 800 square feet in the forming department. And then the number of employees, there's 10 in security, 24 in laser, cafeteria, 40 in laser, and 50 in forming. And then the costs of the security department is $266,000. And the cost of the cafeteria is $153,000. And then we're not given any cost information on the laser and forming departments. So that's all the information they give us. Even though, again, this is given here, I just find it's helpful sometimes to kind of walk through all the information given to me, which will then help me to process it and figure out what I need to do next. So it tells us that using the reciprocal services method of support department cost allocation, determine the total cost for the security department that should be allocated to the cafeteria department and each of the production departments. So it's not asking us for total cost, it's just asking us how much of the support department's costs are going to be, we should allocate each one. So the first thing I need to do is figure out sort of the percentage of usage of the security department and the cafeteria department. So again, for security department, we decide that usage by the number of employees. Is that right? Let's see, no, the cafeteria is the number of employees. So for the security department, it is the square footage. So the cafeteria has 2,400 square feet. Again, this is just from the information up here above. The laser department has 4,800 square feet, and the forming department has 800 square feet. We're not going to include the number of square feet in the security department because we're trying to figure out how to allocate the costs of the security department. So we're just going to include the other 3 departments. The total, let's see. Is 8,000 square feet. So for allocating purposes, we'll just take the square footage of like the cafeteria, divide that by the total. Same thing for laser, square footage of the laser, divide that by the total. And the same thing for the forming. All right, for cafeteria department usage, they divide that up by the number of employees. So there's 10 employees in the security department, 40 in the laser, 50 in the forming. Again, you'll see we're not including the cafeteria's number of people in this mix, just the other ones. So and then Find the percentage, total number of security 10 divided by the total. Okay, so now we kind of have all the information we need to set this up. The problem is it's really hard to use Excel at this point because we're going to have to do some things algebraically that would result in a circular reference. And so we can't really use Excel very well after this point. So to try to walk you through this, I'm just going to insert a text box. I'll put it right here. And I'll sort of walk you through the process. So we know that the cafeteria cost which we're going to call C, equals the $153,000 department cost plus 30% of the security department's cost. And that's because the cafeteria is responsible for or uses 30% of the security costs. So the formula to find the cafeteria cost is going to be 153,000 plus 0.3 or 30% times S, which is the security department cost. We also know our security department costs, which I'm going to call S, they equal 266,000 plus 10% of the cafeteria costs. The problem with these two formula is that we can't really plug them into Excel because they'll create a circular reference, right? We'll say, hey, look at cafeteria costs, or look at security costs to figure out cafeteria costs, and then we're telling it also to look at cafeteria costs to figure out security costs, and it'll create what's called a circular reference. So we've got to use some algebra to get one of these variables out. So we're only dealing with one variable. So here's how I would do that. So if we know that S, or our security costs, minus 266,000 equals, well, so I'm just reframing this right here. Okay, so I'm just going to subtract 266,000 from both sides. So we'll say S minus 266,000 equals 0.1 times C. And then if we want, we could reframe that again by saying S minus 266,000 divided by 0.1 equals C. So now we've reframed this second formula solving for C. So now we can take this first formula, which is C equals 153,000 plus 0.3 times S, and we can substitute in this value of C right here, and then we can solve it and find out what S is. Remember, S is our security cost. So if I do that, I'll be saying C, the cafeteria cost, which equals S minus 266,000 divided by 0.1 equals 153,000 plus 0.3 times S. Whoops, that should be a times S. So now the only thing we have to solve, the only variable we have in here is S. So again, I took this formula, and where it says C here, I substituted in this value of C. So now if I solve that, I can have, let's see, first thing I'll do is I will multiply both sides by 0.1, which will leave me with S minus 266,000 equals 153,000 times 0.1 is 15,300 plus 0.3 times S, which we could just write as 0.3S. So 0.3 times 0.1 is going to give me 0.03. Now I will solve for, well, I'll subtract this 0.03. So I'll end up with 0.97 times S on that side. And I'll add this 266,000 over here. So that should be 266 plus 153. So that equals 281,300. And then all I've got to do is divide both sides by 0.97, and I'm left with S equals 290,000. And honestly, that's a real pain, but I don't know any other way to find the answer here, except for to go through this algebraically and work out the extra variable using algebra. All right, so now we're supposed to figure out the security department cost allocation. And so we already know from up here that the security department usage, the cafeteria is 30% of the security department's cost, laser is 60%, and forming is 10%. So what I can do is I can just put in the 290,000. Remember, that's the security department's cost. And then to find out how much usage, we'll just multiply it. So cafeteria is 30% times the 290,000. Laser will be 60% times the 290,000. And forming will be 10%. And that should be our answers. So 87,000. So the security department cost will be allocated 87,000 to the cafeteria, 174,000 to laser, and 29,000 to forming. And there we go. So hopefully that helps you walk through it. Like I said, I know it's a little bit difficult, but I think each of you can, with a little practice, get through the algebra part of this. And once you do, it's actually not that bad, and it makes some sense, but it's just challenging because we have these two formulas. We need to solve them to get down to a single variable. And then once we have that variable, we can use it to find out our costs. So I hope that was helpful to you. And I hope you're able to get through the problem.